guys, Carbon from Legacy. We got so many questions on Ask.fm that I decided, instead of trying to answer them all online, I think we got a backlog of like 150s or so left to go, something ridiculous. But maybe it might be easier if I took some of the more fun ones, that were aimed at me at least, and turned into a bit of a vlog. I'm also in the process of making a short video on jungling and solo queue. I'm hoping to make like a series of like my favourite champs and like have some clips and some tips and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully that doesn't take too long, but I'm pretty new to all of this, so you guys will have to forgive me if it takes a few weeks or whatever. So yeah, let's get started. I'm supposed to get pretty serious. Very competitive person, pretty emotional person as well, particularly in sports and stuff. I used to play tennis, and like I was the kid who would fucking break his racket and everything, so that was me, and I guess nothing's really changed. I play League now, and when it's going good, I'm in a great mood and I'm yelling and making jokes, and when it's going bad, I'm in not so great mood, but I work on it a lot because my team doesn't like it, so I try to keep it all in check. When I play, particularly when it's like stressful, I like breathe really heavy. So like my team always make fun of me for doing it, and I actually got to the point where I had to start using push to talk on stage because like they were finding it distracting. So like if something's crazy going on, I'd be like like panting like a dog. So yeah, I'll cop a bit of shit for that, but it's whatever. And yeah, I mean, the last point I wanted to touch on was morale. I said before that I can get a bit down sometimes, which isn't good, especially in like mental games like League, where like your mindset means a lot. You know, it's not like sport, you can't just run it out. It's all mental, it's all decision making. If you're clouded by negativity, it's easy to zone out or make the wrong decision or whatever. So one of the reasons I'm intense is I try to keep everyone else focused on the task ahead, which is beating the opposition in League of Legends. At the time, I suppose we were surprised. We actually hadn't practiced those. Well, we hadn't practiced those champs so much. Like, we had practiced them, but they're not mains of ours. You know, like there were new champions we only picked up, other than Rengar. Rengar and Ali, we have been playing a bit. I've been playing Rengar for a little while already, but not in competitive, only in solo queue. But we really practiced them in like the week leading up to wildcards, and we had a lot of other picks that we played that we used to play, and they didn't target any of our other champs. They only target these new ones that we play, which may have been something to do with the meta. But yeah, like I mean, Alistar we only really played as top alley. We practiced a lot of top alley. That was back when you could still do it. With Minky, practiced a lot. We actually hadn't played support alley at all, like in the entire time that we were practicing for wildcards. So we decided on a whim. I can't remember why, but I think the matchup wasn't good for alley top in the first game against DP. So we were like, you know what, let's just put it to support. We did that, which went fantastically well. Bryce played amazing. Ejim, that is. Even got props from Edward, the old support from Moscow 5 and Gambit, so that was pretty cool for him. The Rengar ban didn't really surprise me either. Their jungler didn't know how to play Rengar. Actually, most people don't know how to play Rengar, to be honest. Even now, you know, you see some like Asian teams, OGN, China do it a bit, but you know, it wasn't good in NA. They didn't get the hang of it. EU didn't get the hang of it. In OCE, I don't think there are really any other Rengar players. I think I've seen Zahi try it once, and I think Serbi carrying from YSC played it in one game as well, or maybe more than once. I don't remember one time, but you know, there aren't many people in OCE who were playing Rengar or learned Rengar even back when he was strong. He's gotten a few nerfs now, so he's not as good as he used to be. But yeah, their jungler didn't know how to play it, so I'm not surprised that was banned, because you don't ban champs that you can play. Zilean, that was the last one. Yeah, I mean, Zilean's just strong all around, to be honest. It wasn't something that we had practiced like a lot, like we'd done it a bit, but yeah, he's just really strong. I think it was just a meta ban, to be honest. I don't think it was a targeted Aaron, so that, well, again, wasn't really a surprise. I was surprised. The only surprising thing was that they did the exact same bans every game, but I suppose you don't need to change bans if you're winning every game anyway, so why bother? You know, they changed in fact, they changed their bans after we beat them, and then they beat us the next time and didn't change them again. So can't really blame them for that. I think this is a great question actually, because I think this is one of the most important things you can do for a team if you're serious about competitive WoW. Bringing a coach onto our team, or he was more of an analyst than a coach, but bringing him onto our team turned us from like this ragtag group of pub stars. You know, we're all high on the solo queue ladder, but not, you know, we weren't a particularly good team. This was back in autumn, so that was the first Riot tournament this year. I think we came equal third, fourth. We lost to MV in the semi-finals, and yeah, we were just, you know, we were picking high, midding at top. We were just picking literally whatever we wanted, playing however we wanted. We just wanted standard lanes every game because we didn't know what to do otherwise. And yeah, having him, having Luke help us out was massive for us. He was the old coach for TBD, which is now called Complexity. They changed their name after they qualified for LCS. Dog's annoying me, sorry. He was actually from Korea. He was coaching us from Korea because he was an exchange student there, and he was done in one Korea. So he was actually a really good player himself, as well as analyst, which I think is really important. You get a lot of analysts who aren't as good players themselves, and while you don't exclusively need to be a good player to be a good analyst, I think having that base game knowledge is really important. Before you start coaching, you should know enough about the game to be high elo, I think. People will point out Monte Cristo and stuff who are like silver, or don't even play the game and are great, but you know, that's different. That's their job, and that's all he does all day. And I think that's an anomaly. I think most of the analysts that I've spoken to from our region and from other regions have been not great, to be honest. Not as good as Luke was, anyway. But yeah, so yeah, he transformed us. You know, taught us so much about the game, and really made us the team we were today. I think if we never found Luke, we still would be a third, fourth place team within OCE. Probably wouldn't have made winter finals. Definitely wouldn't have won winter finals. We'd probably still be playing standard lanes every game. So I think the other really important part, and this is more about having a coach than an analyst, is having like an objective, like third party, like authoritative figure. You know, I don't think that can be undersold. When you only have your teammates to talk to about the games, it can get very difficult to criticize people, even constructively. You know, you say, oh, you know, I don't think you should have got in on that fight, and they say, well, you died at level 2. You know, you both make mistakes, everyone makes mistakes, and so it's harder to criticize people than if you're a coach who can watch the whole thing come together, and he gets to judge whether or not, you know, what mistakes will count, you know, or what was important, what was just mechanics, what was, you know, he gets to split it up and he gets to be objective, and no one gets angry at him for it, you know, because that's his job, that's what he's there for, and I think that's so important. Also stuff like conflict resolution, you know, there were some other teams in the round of 8 for in EB Expo recently who had some internal issues leading up to the tournament, and I don't know the specifics, but I know there were definitely issues, and you know, that's never good. You don't want that in the lead up to a tournament, and a coach is someone who can sit everyone down and say, you know, we got to work through this. You can't be on stage, you know, thinking, fuck, this guy's got to feed, so I have to play extra good, so then as soon as you die, you go until, you know, and that just makes the game harder for everyone. So yeah, a coach is super important, I think. I only listed 3. I didn't want to, you know, playing the name game isn't fun because people feel left out or people feel BM'd, which you don't want to do. Particularly in the competitive scene, you know, we're all mates. Well, most of us are mates. I like to think I'm mates with most people. But yeah, underrated players, OCE. My first one, there's no particular order by the way, but my first one is Chuffer from Direwolves. I think he's improved a lot since role swapping. He originally used to play in mid, and that was only, in fact, we considered him after we had a brief period where Choo Choo's actually left the team at the start of this year in order to pursue school, and we needed to find a replacement mid laner, and we were trying to choose between Chuffer and Minky for the mid position at the time. A lot of people won't remember that. That wasn't good. A lot of people won't remember that Minky actually played mid for us for a little while before Choose came back and Minky moved to top. But yeah, he used to play mid for a long time, and he was at the start of the year, and then he switched to AD to play for UTS, which was just a fun team, but it was a uni team. And then he's playing AD for Direwolves now, and I think he's playing very well. He's, strong champion pool, strong mechanics, decent decision making. What I really like about him is how aggressive he is. A lot of ADs play super passive, not saving their KDs per se, but like afraid of dying. And Chuff is someone who I think is happy to take like a 2-for-1 trade for his life. Like in his mind that's worth, and in my mind that's worth. Unless you trade for like support jungle, but I mean that they're not going to be able to kill you. So I think he's not underrated, but I don't think viewers of OC LOL think he's or appreciate him in that sense. Let's put it that way. A second underrated player is Porky from AV. Used to be Curse. No one talks about how good he is or how he carries the game. But Porky's a guy who can always play meta champs and will never really lose lane. He's not going to go 5-0, but he's not going to lose either. He's always going to be at least even, which is great for their team because it means he's always strong. Porky. And then my last underrated player may come as a bit of a shock to some people, but I think Swiffer from Chiefs is not underrated because people obviously think he's good, but I don't think people realise how much of an influence he has on his team. Swiffer is a driving force behind Chiefs, and I feel like not that many people recognise that. He plays really well a lot of the time, but when he doesn't play well, it falls apart, and that's how you can really tell. When Swiffer is playing well, Chiefs look unbeatable. But if Swiffer's not having a good game, they look very mortal. And we've scrimmed against them, on the odd occasion where they don't play with Swiffer and they have a mid sub, and it's a totally different team. The dynamic is totally different. So I don't think he's underrated as a player, but I think he's definitely underrated in a squad where most people look at Radier or Spooks or Swipe or whoever else and look at them as like the best player, like especially Radier, obviously, like Radier's like a god, whatever. Like I'm not saying Radier's bad by any means, but I think Swiffer definitely has a bigger impact on that team than Radier does. But yeah, so there was only 4 questions. Hopefully I didn't bore anyone. We're playing on the 25th of October at Armageddon. For all the New Zealanders or people who are heading down there, come down. I'll say good day. You can maybe have a beer afterward if you're over age. We play against UL in the first round, and then either AV or YSC, whoever wins that series, is who we play against in the second round if we beat UL. So yeah, hope to see you guys there. Hopefully we can put up a good result, and cheers, see you later.